In a story that almost seems too stupid to actually be real, Commissioner Hardesty, Ann Hardesty, this is, of the wonderful city of Portland, Oregon, somebody who has called repeatedly for the defunding of police, gets into a dispute with a Lyft driver, and you guess it, calls 911. I want to run down this story here. First things first. City Commissioner Ann Hardesty called 911 earlier this month to report a dispute with her Lyft driver. And I'm sure that she handled this relatively well. She didn't. I got a Lyft driver that decided he would just drop me off at a filling station. Is she some kind of fucking wordsmith? It's called a gas station, you heathen. And he wants me to get out, and I'm not getting out of the car in the dark at a filling station. What, you're not convinced that your own city that you run, that you have a massive stake in making sure is safe, is in fact safe? Oh, that's weird. I thought you were one of the friends of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Shouldn't that make you immune to any sort of violence that's out there? Or are you just going to pull the race card, the woman card? But of course she does. Of course she does. Just not happening, she told the 911 dispatcher. It happened November 1st. Oh no. Hardesty ordered a pickup at Alani Casino, but reportedly got into a dispute with the driver over a pickup location and then complained about a window being rolled down. What an unreasonable bitch. But you know what? She has youth and good looks on her side. When the driver cut the ride short, he tried to drop her off at the gas station, filling station, sorry, if we're going to be fucking addressing Queen Hardesty. She called 911. I said I'm not going to allow him to leave me on the side of the road. You're at a gas station. The gas station's open, so let's not be so fucking dramatic here. Hardesty told the 911 dispatcher he paid for a ride. I paid for a ride and he canceled it. Well, you got your money back, bitch. He says he canceled it, and I'm just going to sit here until he sends me another ride. How entitled are you? Listen. Only you can order another ride, the 911 dispatcher tells Hardesty. I'm sure he or she probably got an earful from this unreasonable human being afterwards. Richmond Frost, the Lyft driver, told KATU News on Tuesday night the commissioner was rude and disrespectful and that he had his windows down to keep the air circulating in accordance with Lyft's COVID guidelines. Something that she is very, very stringent about enforcing, unless it's about something that would inconvenience her. So rules for thee and not for me. Just another instance and another time that I get to say that in a single day. It gets very, very repetitive to have to continuously call out Democrats. I wish that I didn't have to constantly berate one side of the aisle, but you know what, guys? It's only coming from one side, so I don't know. What's the worst thing that happens on the right now? You get fucking guys like, what's his name? That pastor who was in charge of Liberty University, beaten off in front of his wife getting plowed, or maybe that didn't happen, but that's about the only thing. I don't fucking know right now. The Republicans are weird. I could bash on the Lincoln Project a little bit more if that would make anybody feel better, but it only makes me feel better. I'm a rideshare driver and I canceled the ride, and I've taken her off the freeway to the filling station so she can order another ride, Frost told the 911 dispatcher. I canceled the ride so she, is no longer involved or engaged with me. She's refusing to get out of my car. Is that not trespassing at that point? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Police did eventually respond to Hardesty, and she got another ride home. Oh, thank God. I'm sure she probably got the royal carriage to show up. But you know what else it leaves out of this? The fact that, okay, they told you that she came from a casino, but she was also drunk at the same time and making a total fucking spectacle out of herself. But as you guys know, I made a couple of claims saying that she did, in fact, call for the defunding of the police. But she's also city commissioner, which baffles me, but Portland's a weird place. But instead of just making those wild accusations, let's put a little proof to that. Commissioner Ann Hardesty still wants the Portland Police Bureau. Here's what she'd do with it. Amid wildfires and far-right rap. Are you retarded? Like, seriously retarded. Oof. God, I just gotta look at her. God, she's just not an attractive woman. This Rebecca Ellis should really go fly a kite. I know. Sorry for the strong language. Hardesty demands to take day-to-day oversight of the police bureau has faded from the headlines, but November's election could bring new relevance. Well, here's what this outspoken critic of the police department would want to do. Now, she would have to wrestle away control of the police department from the mayor of Portland, which is still unbelievably Ted Wheeler, which is still unbelievably the least destructive person who could be mayor at this point in time. I don't know, right? A hiring freeze, a recalibration of Portland's police use of social media. What? A truth and reconciliation committee between the police and the Portlanders they serve. Should Mayor Ted Wheeler give Portland City Commission? Never he should. Nope. You can just end the article right there. Nope. Commissioner Ann Hardesty control of the police force. As she asked, Hardesty says the public can expect some of these ideas to move from paper to reality within a month. Well, here's what moron wants. Less riot gear. Because we all know that Portland doesn't have any riots ever, They're a very, very peaceful community. How about fewer officers to at protests? Yes, just let them, peacefully protest. They burn down institutions, 100, 200 nights in a row at this point? I forgot. A hiring freeze. You don't need any more officers, especially officers that would have to respond to a drunken asshole making a spectacle of themselves at a filling station. I wonder who would be brazen enough to do that. Hopefully somebody who's not employed in the public sector. I would never, ever want that. A Truth and Reconciliation Committee. Now let's read through this one. In South Africa, after the end of apartheid, a commission was established to address the trauma experienced by its black citizens and to heal a nation through restorative justice. Because we all know that the only people who are actually actively calling for an apartheid type structure is Black Lives Matter. So they want to set up a Truth and Reconciliation Commission in order to fix a problem that they're trying to instill. That makes a lot of sense. Anyways, after more than 100 days of riots, I'm not saying their words, and a much longer history of mistrust between the police bureau and communities of color. Care to quantify that, or are you just going to go ahead and throw that out there? OPB should really be held to a higher standard, but what can you expect with these fucking gender studies graduates? Hardesty's office says it's thinking of trying to establish something similar here in Portland. Why would you do that? Well, you can just have a national index of, Trump supporters, people who you'd consider to be far right-wing, right? Exactly. A social media recalibration, re-indoctrination, re-education, however you want to call them. Send the people who run the social media camps to a concentration camp, yes. This summer, Portland's police have regularly fired off updates on the Bureau's Twitter account detailing where rioters marched, that orders were being given, and what objects were hurled in their direction. That seems like good information to know, but apparently not. Hardesty's office says it wants to recalibrate the social media strategy of the police bureau by telling them not to post any sort of damaging to the cause material. I think that's a terrible idea, but what do I know? I'm not city commissioner. I don't get drunk and go to casinos. Maybe I need a little bit more life experience. Public records request. When it comes to fulfilling public records requests, the Portland Police Bureau is one of the slowest bureaus in the city, but at least Andy No covers that up for them. So you know what? If they want to close down that section, it doesn't much matter because Andy will make sure that good information gets out there. I'm not being facetious in that. He does an excellent job when it comes to exposing these cretins that lurk about the streets in Portland. Mixed support for Hardesty's plans. Yes, everybody who has a pair of eyes and a working, functioning brain thinks that this bitch is fucking nuts. But this isn't the only time that she's, been a total fucking moron. You know what? She has a long history. And by long history, I mean, it at least dates back to last year. Okay? I just wanted to make sure that she's been consistent in her messaging. She loves to pull the race card and the woman card, and any other card that she can pull out of her intersectionality Rolodex. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler criticized for a racist double standard. This is according to Willamette Week. This is not me. In scolding City Commissioner Ann Hardesty, Mayor Wheeler acted out the age-old custom of powerful men, making an example of black people who are deemed to have stepped out of line. Remember, this is a city commissioner, somebody who was elected to a job of power. Out of line, particularly when white female sensibilities are the perceived victim. That is a very fancy way of saying, I acted out of line, but because I am most affected, you don't have the right to tell me to shut up when I'm acting like a child. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler called for civility last week at a city council hearing. Okay, if you're controlling the meeting, you should probably, want open and honest dialogue and not somebody nattering off in the corner. But this time, his remarks were aimed at a colleague and not at an unruly protest who sometimes disrupt hearings. By the way, this was published April 9th, 2019. So she's been a rabble-rouser, if I may be so bold, and for at least 18 months now. I want to put a marker down. When people come here and testify they deserve to be treated with respect, that is totally unreasonable. Why would you say something, Ted, on April 3rd? I said that right up front, and I don't care if people are for this or if they're for against it. Yes, civility really needs to be stopped. That is a form of expressing your whiteness, and you should be called out for it. How dare you? How dare you? Though he did not mention City Commissioner Ann Hardesty, she had just finished challenging a real estate management company's representative on proposed tenant protections. The woman later left the council chamber in tears. Oh no! If you can't get your way, just cry about it. Just be a cry-bully. Isn't that a very, very old, tried and true, tested tactic, I can't be the only person out there who knows somebody who, whenever they're pressed for sensible reaction to something, that they just immediately start to cry and become unreasonable. How can you deal with somebody like that, especially if they are supposed to represent the public? Yeah, you can't. I don't like Ann Hardesty. I know that's a really, really tough take to make, but the fact that she can continuously act like an entitled child is really unsettling. And there's some really goofy stuff happening out in Portland, and hopefully it gets settled. I don't have a lot of optimism. I think that they're stuck with a terrible mayor now for another 4 years, and their city council likewise will be there for just as long. And as long as Antifa continues to just run around and are, at least passively supported by Ted Wheeler, not as much as his somebody who challenged him in the mayoral race would have actively embraced them, he's at least not doing really anything about them, because the riots still go on night after night. You can check Andy No's Twitter feed or Parler feed, because at least he's over there now. So the crackdown, whether Joanne's going to be in charge of their social media feed, is probably just going to be taken over by Twitter when they do their massive purge here, once things eventually shake out. And if you want to stay on Twitter, that's by all means up to you. But I don't see a bright future on social media for these people who like truth and honesty. But I'm really glad that Lyft driver, and hopefully nothing terrible or long-lasting happened to his vehicle. But the sooner you can get rid of this victimhood enthusiast Ann Hardesty from public life, the better Portland would definitely be. And that's a little update on entitled public officers, or public officials, rather. I've had a vested interest in what's been going on in Portland for, since I started my channel, honestly. It was one of the first topics that I really went hard on, so I like to come back and update everybody every once in a while on what's happening over there, because it is a dumpster fire in real time, and if it was up to the people in charge there, it would continue to burn ever so bright. Brighter than the North Star, in fact. Anyways, guys, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.